What is role play and how do you do it effectively? Stay tuned. So let's talk about role play, why your salesperson or your sales team need to do it. They need to do it the right way in order to really get their skills up and be able to help your company close more deals and grow. So the first thing to keep in mind is role play is very simple. Role play is a real conversation with another person. So many times salespeople want to skate out and they want to not do the hard work of what their profession is, which is really practice. And they want to sit there and they want to read a script over and over to themselves, or they just want to say a script over and over to themselves. And that is not role play. That does not bring on the pressures that you're going to feel when you're trying to recall from memory what you have to say with your customers or your leads on the phone or in person. It's not going to give you different scenarios of what you should say and how you should say it. And it's not going to give you a realistic understanding of how you're coming across and how people are perceiving you. And so the first thing you need to realize is that it's a real conversation with another person. And so your sales team or your salespeople really need to make sure that when they're doing role play, that they're actually doing it with another person. So that way they can get that direct, instant live feedback. They can feel those pressures of what they're saying. They can hear how they're saying different things, and they can make adjustments very quickly, and they can improve their skills very quickly. The second thing that I think is really important for salespeople to understand is that role play should be a safe environment where they can feel comfortable to make mistakes and they can feel comfortable to mess up. So many times salespeople get in their own heads and they're so worried about making a mistake or saying the wrong thing, especially when they're new, that they need to understand that this is a time for them to make mistakes. They should be looking at making mistakes, how many mistakes they make, and how to recover from those mistakes so that way they can increase their skills and they can get better at closing more deals and talking to their customers in general. Okay, so how should role play be done and what are you actually doing in role play? So as we said, role play is a real conversation. And when you're doing role play, the things you want to make sure that you're focusing on is not just reading through a script with a bland monotone voice. Role play is the time when you are going to practice your tone. You're going to pay attention to your pitch. You're going to see how your flow sounds. You're going to look at how people respond to you when you're talking with them, how they react, what are their facial cues when you say things. You're going to use role play to practice different phrases. So different phrases that you want to try out. The best salespeople don't just have one way of saying things. Now, they may have one way that they always kind of can go to and it's always worked out for them. However, they're always practicing and they're always manipulating the words that they use, the things that they say, and seeing how people react to it and seeing what the reaction is so that way they can adjust, hey, maybe this landed really well for this person or maybe this didn't land well at all. And there's, paying attention to different personality types, different customer scenarios, different industries. Everything of these details makes a difference with how your customers need to be talked to by your salespeople. And so they should be practicing their different phrases. They're also going to be practicing overcoming objections. Role play is crucial for making sure that your salespeople can overcome objections easily, and they can do it well, and they can do it in a way that your customer is going to receive it as being helpful and not argumentative. And so they need to be, once they get their main script and their fundamentals down, they need to be starting to practice different objections that they're coming up with, and they need to be practicing different ways of overcoming that. Role play is crucial for practicing how we are saying things and how people are receiving them. It's crucial for us to hear what we sound like. So many times when salespeople get on a sales call or they're in a sales conversation in real life, or even if it's on a messenger online, salespeople tend to get so focused on the sale and the process of that conversation that they don't actually hear themselves. And so, again, I've said in other videos, recording calls is absolutely crucial, but absolutely making sure that you're doing live role play is paramount to making sure that salespeople can actually hear how they're saying things, how it's actually coming across, and they're seeing in real life how people are responding to that, how their reactions are, and if this is actually effective what they're saying, or if there's better ways, which there usually are, especially if you're a newer salesperson. There's better ways of phrasing things, there's better ways of delivering a message, there's better ways of asking questions, so that way your salespeople can come across helpful and empathetic, and actually as a solid person who understands their customer and can actually give a really good recommendation for a best product or service for their customer. Now, here are 3 tips that your salespeople are going to want to keep in mind when they're doing their role play. I'm glad you're enjoying the video. If you need help with hiring, training, or managing your VAs, make sure you click the link in the description below to check out our free VA hiring workshop. If you need one-on-one help with me, click the link to schedule an appointment to see how I can help. The first thing is going to be repetition is key. They need to be making sure that they are repeating their script and they're repeating their phrases and they're repeating their objections over and over and over again until the point where they don't want to do it anymore, and then they need to keep doing it. Repetition is key. Muscle memory, that terminology is absolutely factual when it comes to building your skill sets as a salesperson and as a sales team. Repeating what you're saying, repeating your answers to objections, repeating your phrases, repeating your transitions is all absolutely crucial to making sure that when you get that customer that says that one thing, that you don't even have to think about how to respond. You can just respond. It comes out natural. It comes out effortless. And it's like you've done this a million times because you have. Right? And that's the only way to really become a true professional salesperson, is for the sales process to seem effortless, to seem easy, to seem natural, and make your audience, your customer, your lead feel absolutely comfortable. The next thing that you want to make sure that your salespeople are doing when they're role playing is that if they make a mistake in their role play, that they immediately stop, they analyze the mistake, they see what they have to do to fix it, and then they start from the beginning. We don't want to practice bad habits. Again, one of the keys to becoming a professional salesperson is making sure that we're repeating, but we want to make sure that we're building good muscle memory, good habits, and we're repeating good things. So I have found this super effective when I'm training salespeople, and I found it super annoying to them, but it works every single time. And so if your salespeople, they're in the middle of a role play, they make a mistake, or they get caught up, they need to immediately stop. They need to think about what they did, work through in their mind, and actually verbally work through how they need to transition through that, gap, and they need to start over and then do it again successfully. And then once they do it successfully, which usually takes a few times after they make a mistake, then they need to repeat that successfully as many times as possible in order to drill that into their brain to eliminate the mistakes. And the last thing that your salespeople really want to make sure that they're focusing on is practicing specific transitions. So many times salespeople can get lost in the transaction. They get lost in the conversation. The customer's asking questions. The customer's being distracting, or their manager's being distracting, or they're getting text messages or phone calls or emails. There's so many things that can distract salespeople from what the goal is and what the mission is. And if they don't absolutely know their transitions, going from one phase to the next phase of the sales conversation, they're going to freeze up. They're going to lock up, and they're going to stutter, and they're going to, they're going to pause, and they're going to absolutely crumble under the pressure of not knowing where to go next. And so if your salesperson is struggling with their transitions, going from one phase of the sales conversation to the next phase, it's simply because they don't have the transition exactly figured out word for word in their mind. and making sure that they've repeated that and it's muscle memory so they know exactly how to transition into that next phase. And so sometimes your salespeople need to take those transitions. They need to literally just repeat those transitions over and over and over until it's muscle memory. Again, they can say it without thinking about it the exact way they need to. And then what'll happen is when they go back to actually do their full role play, you'll see that they'll actually just cruise through those transitions. They won't be a problem, and they'll be able to actually get through the whole sales conversation and won't have any issues at all. I've literally seen salespeople go within a 10-15 minute time span, struggling and stumbling to get through a single sales conversation successfully, to where we spend 5-10 minutes just repeating their transitions in random orders and just the transitions, not the full sales script, just those transitions, repeating them into different orders, having fun with it, practicing different tonations and different flows and all those things, but making sure that they have that down with muscle memory. And within 5 to 10 minutes, they can get through the whole sales script effortlessly. It is absolutely crucial. And the next thing that you guys really want to make sure that your salespeople are paying attention to is details matter. Words matter. What you say matters. The exact wording, the exact phrasing matters. You want to make sure that you're saying the right thing to the right person. And there is this saying that you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and that is true to an extent. However, in a sales conversation, the way you lead your customer to the next phase, the way you answer an objection, the way you ask your questions is really going to dictate how your customer feels, how they respond, and where they're at, if they're coming along with you in that sales conversation, and if they're at the same page or if they're getting stuck somewhere. So making sure that your salespeople are paying very specific attention to their exact wording. I've seen it many, many times where I'll write out a sales script for a salesperson and I'll say, okay, here's a sales script. Let's do it this way. We'll do our transitions. We repeat everything. They say it right. And then they go into a live role play and they don't say it how it's written out or how we practice it at all. And so I literally have to stop them, go back, do individual repetition practices again so they can say it word for word, and then they'll be able to actually go ahead and say the sales script as they need to, word for word. And salespeople are notorious for wanting to just add in their own words. Our brains are random. They like to fill in space because they don't like quiet or pause, or they think maybe we need to, just add this word at the end to make it sound, however we think it needs to sound in our head. And so your salespeople need to make sure that they are focused on the exact wording. They need to make sure that they're focused on repeating successful repetitions of their practice. And they need to be practicing all of their phrases, objections, tone, flow, all of those things. And that is how you actually do successful role play, and how you will actually have your salespeople level up and close more deals, set more appointments, because they will sound more confident and they will actually be able to get through a whole sales conversation and sound like experts. And that's going to make your leads and your customers very trusting and very happy. Hey everyone, that's the end of the video. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to see more videos like this one, go ahead and leave the like button to let me know that you got value from the video, as well as go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that way you can be tuned in when I create more videos in the future. Also, go ahead and check out the description if you want to find out more information about working with me one-on-one. I do provide consulting and coaching services for hiring VA teams, for marketing teams and sales teams to help your business get consistent growth so you can live a life of abundance.